more out there? My thoughts, probably not. I think people are going to stick with what they've tried, what they've tested, and what they've been scrimming with. But we are still seeing quite a selection of legends at the moment, quite a variety, and that's what I love. I love to see variety in these games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how teams play. Are we going to see that hard zone play that we have seen quite a lot so far? Are we going to see a little bit of a change for those teams in the chasing pack who are maybe going to look to isolate some fights on the edge of zone? All of these questions, of course, are going to be answered in the next couple of hours of play. 6 games in front of us, 3 on Storm Point, where we start our day off, Dan. And as we can see, the dropship, it's on its way. And as we know from week 1, we're not going to see too many contests going down because everyone is going to have a safe space to call home.
Yeah, everyone's going to be happy. You're not going to see too many early game fights between these teams. There's a lot of respect. Although, I mean, through scrims lately in both regions, North America and Emea, that I've been watching, there has been some arguments over beacons. Who's got what? Who's going to be able to grab a beacon? Is one player going to get that beacon? Are they going to actually take the shots? It does make it quite controversial when you are having those moments in scrims, but suddenly when you get into a competitive environment, things are a little bit different. You can't take those risks. You can't necessarily go for that beacon unless you really trust the other team, as beacon's very important, something that we've been kind of seeing over the last few weeks. Those teams who do land and have a beacon near them are going to have that opportunity to early rotate, Mark.
Well, one team that we should, of course, be focusing our attention on is the team on your screen right now, the team who is top of the pile going into today's action. That is, of course, the Kansas City Pioneers. And one thing that's been really impressive for me was that performance in week number 1, where it seemed like the chemistry was back for the boys. The 3 teammates that we know have been together for quite some time. They're dropping, of course, right at the northern tip of Storm Point by the wall. They're also going to have maybe some beacon information, but you saw where that circle was going down. Pretty central zone to start with, and for a team like KCP, who like to get an early rotate on the board, the fact that they only have to move downhill, they're going to be fighting all of their fights from the upper ground, having cemented the wall, shall we say, as their drop spot. It should be a potential for a high kill game for them.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. I think it's going to be a big difference for these teams who have to move a lot further rather than just being able to migrate to the wall, as you say. Storm Point a little bit different to World's Edge as well, especially when we look at the statistics of ring pools at the moment. It's kind of spread fairly evenly across the board, no matter where you drop and where you land, so you don't have to have the placebo effect of, oh, we should be pushing or we should keep staying. Very different on World's Edge, right? It's been very Westly, and we can talk about that later, but right now on Storm Point, don't worry about any of those thought processes. Just play your game. Make sure you're rotating the way that you've rotated so many times in scrims. And, you know, it is going to be a longer journey for others as they have to move north here, but that doesn't mean you can't still have a high kill game.
Well, a little bit of poke damage going on early here, and it's always interesting to see who has beacon information and who doesn't. And then Horizon at the moment look like they do not have beacon information, so they're going to be playing... Oh, excuse me, I stand corrected. It looks like they will have some beacon information, as they will know where that third zone is going to be going, or second zone, I should say, excuse me. So you can see that they're actually making a nice little early rotate here, just on the, what I like to call the zip lines. This is, you know, reminds me a little bit of a jungle gym. You know, when you pay a little bit of money, you go out with your friends and you find somewhere to make a day of it. Find the zip lines, one end to the other. I'd let you go first, by the way, Dan. I'd catch you. Actually, you know, I'd go first so I can catch you at the other end of the zip line.
Yeah, usually you send me first, so then I'm the bait. It's a very different story there. You were trying to make it look like you were the nice person, but you always send me first and make it... Anyway, we won't talk about that because you're just mean in all games that we play. Anyway, this circle is going to be moving north, as you say, and there's already, like 10 teams that have got within this next circle. Again, very similar to what we saw just a couple of weeks ago when we last had our last Pro League matches that we casted. And it was early rotates, it was getting in, it was Watson fences, it was defensive legends being so important to set up. But then it's those information characters like Seer, maybe even a Bloodhound as well, if you want to throw that in. You are going to be having those people and those characters to ensure that you can get that info early. But already you can see a little bit of a skirmish happening right now, and info could be very important.
Well, this is not a good skirmish because Crypto is having an effect on the lobby. You can get your fences down as much as you want, but that EMP is going to just remove them immediately. And Ember, who had a great spot, they had Watson fences down, they had a gen down. Now look at the situation they find themselves in. Scarpering away, and it's IG International, Invictus Gaming, using that EMP to take priority of the position that is in front of them. So a nice little push from them, again, showing how that chess game is continuing to evolve here in all regions of the Pro League. Of course, you're going to see legend compositions changing. How do we counteract what seems to be the popular choices at the moment? And with Watson coming back into the meta as, you know, the legend who is going to do what she's always done, right? Get those fences down, get you solid positioning. when you're seeing those EMPs come in, you can see why Crypto is having those effects on the lobbies.
I just love that they're playing Crypto and Watson as well. Like, it's literally the counter for Watson, but you throw a Watson in there as well because you're like, well, we can counter yours, and then we can put up our own fences after we've destroyed and taken your area. I love it. It's the kind of be aggressive, push, take the position off of other teams so that you're not left in one of those kind of tough positions just outside of zone, or maybe don't have one of the priority buildings. I think aggression at the right time is the key in Apex Legends. If you leave it too late or if you go too early, you can really get punished. But if you can time it to perfection, you are going to get so much rewards that will not just be placement points, but it will be kill points as well.
Well, it looks like Pioneers do not have beacon information from the looks of things. Na'Vi do, though. And it looks like Na'Vi are going to be having a little poke and a prod at Pioneers. But for now, it looks like things have calmed down. For just a second, both teams are going to allow each other to breathe and realize that this isn't maybe the fight that they want to take. I'm sure that if KCP had the information of the armors that were available to Na'Vi, certainly had the HP advantage if the fight was to break out. So maybe it's going to be a case of KCP being the aggressors if they do get that information, looking for early KP right in the northern part of Storm Point here. But Ascend, we mentioned what a game and what a series of games they had last time we saw them. Well, they're set up already, Dan. Right in the middle of zone. They've got a very, very defensive composition as well. And I always think it's great for placement points. If you got the Newcastle, and we saw the effects that that had, of course, in one of those end zones last time we saw these gentlemen on our screen. But how do you get your kills? That's the question for me. If you've got two defensive legend, what ability and what weapons do you try and pick up to make sure that you're not just getting to end zone, but you're having the ability to convert kills towards a first place as well?
Yeah, I mean, what Ascend did in those 2 weeks ago was the 3 back-to-back victories, and 2 of those were on Storm Point as well. Their positioning was incredible. They always seemed to know where that circle was going. I know there are IGLs who seem to have a better idea than others, it would seem. It's like they're trying to find out this perfect formula. Well, whatever it was, whatever the formula that Ascend were drinking, they certainly found it last time we saw them playing. But then they've had a week off. Is that going to be a little bit rusty for them? Are they going to now be in a difficult situation where they are going to be a little bit out of sorts in this first game? But you've got to make sure you are on top of things right from the get-go here, as now we're watching Corpa make their way into the next zone. Of course, Zone 1 is closing, so those who haven't got the beacon are going to have information now onto where Zone 3 will be.
Well, E6, who got towards endgame many times last time we saw them, are currently stuck in zone and being gate-kept in the most horrible way possible by 3 of the most talented players than we have in the Apex Legends Global Series. Now, something hasn't quite clicked for Gaming Gladiators in the first few weeks of action that we've had in front of us. They are currently sat down where they don't want to be, right down at the bottom of the table. But taking out E6 early here, I mentioned how just one team fight can breed confidence to a team. If Gaming Gladiators get on top of E6 here, manage to take this fight and win it against a team who seems to be winning so many team fights, it could just be that little spark they're looking for.
At the moment, just puffing their chests out, firing a few warning shots across to one another, but neither is really going to achieve much from this. Looking at compositions, looking at Legends, Mark, it does look like we have 1 Catalyst in the lobby right now. A 95% pick rate of Valkyrie, though, so that's to be expected. Everyone really using that for the rotations, making sure that you are going to be able to get into those endgame circles.
Well, at the moment, Gaming Gladiators just holding the line at the moment. They've got Watson fences down below them, just protecting the choke behind. So you would imagine that one player is kind of tasked as well of making sure that the flank doesn't come in, because this fight is taking longer and longer. And we know that the audio cues can be heard all over Storm Point. And if a team fancies a little bit of a third-party opportunity, the longer that the seconds tick down and elapse, these two teams try and fight, there might be another opportunity for a team to move in. But both teams showing each other good respect at the moment. Nobody really being able to create the opening. And if you're looking at armors, it's pretty balanced across the way. The CL already been expended as well.
Yeah, there's a lot being sent, a lot of resources being used at the moment, and that really does kind of show how worried you are about a fight. Also, how much you respect the other team. Perhaps you know who the other team is because of drops and rotations, but it's the Gaming Gladiators who are going to be the aggressors at the moment, just kind of holding out this team who has to move into the next zone. They are going to be gatekeeping Element 6 very heavy indeed. So, K-Swinny and the rest need to be thinking about making a move. How are they going to make the rotation? Are they going to go for a Valkyrie ultimate? Are they going to try and use Bangalore here to try and create some smoke so they can get vision away from the other team and just try and move clear of this gatekeeping?
Well, look at this now. Like I mentioned, the longer that this fight goes on, the more predictable it becomes for a team to try and get involved. And that team is Corpa. They are currently sat behind both E6 and Gaimin Gladiators. And E6 have recognized this, Dan. They've decided, hey, do you know what? We're going to start a med train. We're going to drop some heals to each other. We're going to take a completely different direction. But look at this. Now you're seeing a little bit of Rampart, I believe that was, getting involved. Maybe some shots coming down from another team who's involved in this little scuffle. And all of a sudden, this has become a very popular area to be involved with.
You are right. We have one Rampart in the lobby. We have one Bangalore, one Loba, one Newcastle, and one Catalyst. Those are your kind of off-meta picks that we have in the lobby right now. Everything else is a little bit more standard. We'll see whether the Rampart pick can help Phoenix Legacy here and whether they can get set up, and maybe Sheila can come down as well to really deal that damage.
Well, E6 are deep in zone at the moment because of the fact that, like we see, Phoenix Legacy in this position. They also have E6, they have Gaimin Gladiators in this position that we saw, and another team just on the outside trying to cause problems. We have to see a fight break out at some point, though. There is only 45 seconds until this zone starts to close, and it looks like that Gaimin Gladiators have found an opening here. They've managed to get good damage down. Now Leogri moving in to finish off some of these damage. Yeah,
should be easy pickings, really. You don't want to allow one player to go down, though. Leogri needs to escape, does escape just about. And Phoenix Legacy will get eliminated. Unfortunately, that hard-fought battle that they were trying to wind their way out of for so long, it just ends up being the exact same result as it may have been if they had gone a little bit earlier. Gaimin Gladiators, they'll be delighted with that, but now their attentions have to turn on moving into the zone themselves. Sure, they are on edge of circle, but they are not in the greatest of spots when we talk about endgame. So it's about healing up, getting whatever loot you've just been able to win through that engagement, and then planning starts to happen now. Get your notepad out, start to think about where this next zone's going to be.
Well, the good news for Gaimin Gladiators, maybe they're not too aware of, is that they've completely locked down that side of the map now. Nobody rotating between them because E6, Element 6, they've taken a fight over at the wall. It's going to be Na'Vi, who are currently in an exchange of fire. E6 lose 2, and now K20 left us last alive, and one of our best teams from the first time we saw these two groups is going to be eliminated at the hands of Na'Vi. But who is this on the third-party opportunity? Of course, it's Pioneers. Na'Vi eliminated, Pioneers picking their moment to strike.
Yeah, that's what you've got to do as a good team in Pro League, is you've got to make sure you take advantage of any easy KP that is sat quite literally outside of your window. They opened their curtains, they had a peek at the noisy neighbors, and they said, actually, yeah, we can get some free KP here. It was easy as you like. You can't just stay turtled down in a building. I know we see a lot of Watsons at the moment, but Corpa also having a fight, also having unfortunately, a lot of shots going their way.
Shots going their way. Clutch trying to move in and finish off this fight as well. The G7 Scout, a little bit of hip fire. We had a shoulder shake earlier. Now we've got a little bit of a hip shake coming in as they managed to win that fight. But is there any other teams in the vicinity? It looks like a gold bag is certainly going to be helping out with this revive to make sure that we're going to get back and we're going to have a little bit of shields to play with. So they will be able to reset here. Corpa win their first fight, and this is a tough zone for them as well. We saw them rotating from the very southern side of the map, and it's a very simple thing to kind of forget sometimes. But if you're landing on the southern side and you pull to the north, most of the fights are going to be uphill for you here on Storm Point.
Oh, nice grenade, and that is going to be able to get the knock initially. We'll see a lot of damage from J Savage at the moment. There's knocks everywhere on your kill feed. Now you've got to try and stay alive. I don't think there's going to be opportunity to bat unless you're quick, and he actually double doubts himself, will back away and just go for the shield cells instead. And it looks like Forge are just going to accept they get a little bit of KP, and now it's about trying to rack, try stay alive, try and get those placement points. As we are down to 14 squads, Forge unfortunately will fall in the end. And of those 14, 7 currently within the circle, 7 currently outside of the next circle. So there's still a lot of work to do for half the lobby.
Yeah, it's a pretty smart decision to try and get out of that situation as last alive, because it was the third party, which of course you can see on your screen right now, 3 Muppets who moved in. So even though it didn't quite work out, unfortunately wasn't able to get away and got eliminated. We find ourselves at 14 squads with 3 Muppets controlling the middle of command center here. They do have Vexed pretty close to them though. Being noisy neighbors, so to speak, or being very quiet neighbors at the moment, as Turkish Stars, are going to be set up at the very southern side of where this zone currently is. But if you, like you mentioned, Dan, it looks like there's a bit of a change of game plan, and I think that's just due to the playable area that's available. Not a huge amount of buildings to hold down. It's more open ground that you're trying to kind of show presence on with those Watson fences and with some nice shots coming out from Fose.
Yeah, I think that if you can see KP being a potential here and you know you're outside of the circle, you have to take advantage of it. Otherwise, if you are too slow and you just try and rotate into that zone when everyone's already taken the buildings that you speak of, then you're just going to be ending up with like 0 points, probably, let's be honest, and that's not exactly the way you want to start game number 1. So this is the other option, though, is rotating late, going for a Valkyrie ultimate, getting up into the skies, and then trying to pick where you want to land, because, of course, you get that passive information, but already so much damage that you're taking. By the time you land, you are going to be absolutely cannon fodder.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Zerafa needs to get behind this box and needs to have the help, but the heals are going to be cancelled. Here comes the missile swarm as well, and Corpa are just struggling to survive here. A little bit of zone damage going to be taken as well, but not a lot of cover to play with. But somehow, Three Chicks has found somewhere to heal at least, but they have lost one. The Q will go down to try and get the lift back to him, but you would imagine the team inside of the building is going to be focused on finishing off that down to make sure that they're just down to 2. Game and Gladiators as well. Game and Gladiators eliminated, Dan, so another rough start for them.
Yeah, they just can't seem to get started, really, can they? There's so much expectations, I think, from viewers and from us as well. And to be honest, themselves, with how they should be playing, it just doesn't seem to be clicking this season. Maybe the meta not right for them, and they're going to have to try and find a resolution for that quickly. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough pro league for them. As I look at the overhead of the map and we see the information, it does look like this is going to be a fantastic pool for Alliance. They're in one of the better positions, but if I cast your mind back to a couple of weeks ago, Ascend had a similar circle to this, Mark, where they rotated in late, they utilized Valkyrie to get on top of one of the buildings, and then they absolutely annihilated everyone that was below them. So perhaps they'll go for something similar here. Kashira running the only Newcastle in the lobby right now as well.
It's going to be interesting here for us and how they play it. The decision's going to be a little bit easier for them. There's going to be more space available because we've already lost 7 teams. And with 30 seconds left on zone number 4, there are going to be some playable spots available. And especially with Newcastle, like you mentioned, those playable spots become a little bit more playable with the wall that can go down. But Vex Gaming going to be eliminated in the meantime. And this is, again, great news for Ascend. The more teams that go down, the more space there is to rotate. 11 squads now, as Turkish squads will be eliminated by Corpa.
Yeah, Corpa's still just about staying alive, trying to dodge anything that's shooting them, even the spiders that are coming into play with the fight as well. Horizon just got eliminated, so now we're into our last 10, but KCP are again getting aggressive in their area because they had to. KCP are having to move from the building we saw them last, and because of that, they are pushing other buildings to make sure they get involved in those fights and try and get towards that last circle. But as I say that, Pioneers eliminated in the kill feed, so the push, unfortunately, didn't go too well.
I mean, I've been really impressed with Corpa here. I have to say, this has been a really, really tough zone for them. The fact, like I mentioned, they have to rotate from the very southern tip of Storm Point uphill the whole way. Fire coming in front of them, and they've made it into the top 8, and they are still doing damage and still influencing these lobbies. This is a big game for them, but now you're having that zone start to have an influence. Zerafa trying to survive, but they should be able to pick up a few KP here on their way down to the grave, you would imagine. Ember go down. Alliance still alive, though. Corpa finally eliminated.
6 squads remaining. Alliance in the best position on the game right now on the map. Storm Point is theirs, but Ascend still have the opportunity to do exactly what they did 2 weeks ago and arrive late and still disrupt things. At the moment, back against the wall, and it is going to be a castle wall that could come down for them, has come down for them, and that just gives them that extra bit of protection here as they can see the fight happening above them. The Seer ultimates come out. Alliance are still raining down on everyone that they see below them, and it looks like Alliance have decided to get aggressive here into this fight.
Doesn't surprise me to see Alliance getting aggressive, but Ascend, they won 3 games in a row. Last time we saw them on our screens. Let's jump into a listening now with WD Black.
3, 2, 1. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. I'm going. I tell you, post if you're
I killed someone. I got 30, but it's only on my repeater. I can give you 20. Take it.
Guys, play here. We're fine here.
For me, for a beat. I'm gonna... Oh, look at me, Cash. I need... look at my health. Tell me when he's health. Tell me when he's health.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you.
They're low in the wall.
Okay, I'm
I
going.
don't have bullets. They drop down. They drop down. They drop down. We have to set up post. Set up post. This setup is not ours.
I'm going.
I leave that. I think we leave that, the defenses.
No, I can use Alf, man. I can use Alf for the setup.
Do you have Jan?
One cell, please.
No, I don't.
I have 0 cells.
I drop you a lot of that. Why do you need self?
Yeah, no, I have that.
Take self.
They're pushing below us, guys.
Well, we're jumping back into the game here, Dan. We come out of the listening because Ascend are getting pushed by LFO forever. And it's all up to post-kill, but the zone will take care of him. We're down to the final 2.
Alliance versus IG, but IG are down to just 2 players, and Alliance, they are going to swoop on in. This should be an easy dub for them if they play this correctly, Mark.
Black Hole goes in as well. The Wombo combo, add them all up. The Arc Stars, are they going to hit? Are they going to do the damage? A little bit of chip damage onto the shields, and now Effects decides with this RE45, it's time to go in, but the move is going to be slowed down for just a second here. Invictus doing what they can to hold the ground. Hackers is taken down to barely any HP, so now Alliance have to reset momentarily, but here comes Effect, and that is the effect Effect can have.
Yeah, the new addition, the new hot property on this roster, as everyone wanted a little bit of effect, but it looks like he's going to be the one who does the final bit of damage. There is going to be one down, does not matter. An Alliance who dominated the zone for what seemed like the entire game. We didn't get to see their POV because they were restricted. They were in a building, they were waiting, they were picking their moments, but they picked their moment absolutely perfectly, and they come